Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. This is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world. And so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their audience, the credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's the smart one and y'all elitists are dumb.
I tell everybody this. Keep doing what you're doing. You're going to get the same result. That's Rick Wilson on with Don Lemon last night talking about how stupid Trump supporters are. Right? Rick Wilson's supposedly this strategist for the GOP, and they're all laughing, right? Talking about how stupid Donald Trump supporters are. You wonder why they don't want him impeached? You wonder why? Do you think that Donald Trump supporters are wandering around and thinking to themselves, he's a pious man? And no, they're not. They're not idiots, right? By the way, there's idiots on both sides. We can always point that out. But the average one, no, they're not. They're not oblivious to his failings. They're not oblivious to who he is. But it's this kind of thing right here that makes them dig in deeper. I will tell it again, and I will continue to say this again. Every one of us has been in an argument where we've known we probably are in the wrong here. But then somebody makes something personal in that argument. And whether or not you're in the wrong, you dig in. Because now they've made it personal. Now they've made it one of those situations where I don't give a GD about what I did or didn't do wrong. What you've done right here has made it so I will not give in. So when you hear people go on shows and talk about how everybody who supports Trump drags their knuckles, dates their sister, can't read or write or get their learn on, right, is a moron, is a racist, a homophobe, guess what happens? They sit there and say, think what you think. Continue to do what you do, and we'll continue to support him. And this is why. Because now, regardless of who's president, we know that you think that we are all of those things, and that is what it is. So we're going to keep him where he is. We're going to keep him right there because we do like the fact that he pushes back. We do like the fact that he calls you fake news. We do like the fact that he says that you guys are the enemy of the people. We do like the fact that he gets in your face and says things. Because we also know, well, you're not the enemy of the people. You're now becoming our enemy because you think we're morons and idiots.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading, your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
Only them elitists know where Ukraine is. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, my God.
But you know what? But it was Rick's fault. I blame Rick.
Sorry, hold on. Wait.
Can I tell
Give
you
me a second. Hold on. That was good. Sorry. Rick, that was a good one. I needed that.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep saying the things that you're saying. Keep treating I've always said, if the Democrats want to actually move forward when it comes to impeachment, they needed to reach out to the people who voted for Trump. They needed to make it not personal. But they never did. They never have. From the day he came down that escalator and people started to support him, to the Make America Great Again hat, as they start moving forward and he starts growing, the accusations came out, right? And never once have they tried to say, you know what? It's not about you guys. This is about him, right? You're Americans. And this is about him. No. Instead, everybody's just kind of said, well, we've all got our base and we'll go from there. So we'll insult each other. And that's how we'll play this thing out. You're going to get the same results over and over. This kind of thing right here makes them go, yeah, we get it now. We know how you feel about us, and we're okay with that. We're okay with that. That's why he's not going anywhere. Has nothing, I've always said this. This has very little to do with Trump, what he did or didn't do, right? Biden, any of this stuff. This has so much to do with the people that support Trump and how they still feel like, you know what? You think we're idiots. You think we're morons. You abandon us. You only show up every 4 years. And you want to tell us what's good for us. You want to tell us how we should live our lives. You want to tell us all of these things because you do think you're better than us. In that voting booth, we're all equal. They can't stand that. They can't. Frustrating as all get out, right? And both sides, by the way, having issues in situations. Rick Wilson, again, establishment cat. Hates Trump. Why? Because he's not part of the establishment. On the other side, the Dems have their issues in the establishment side of things, and their biggest issue is Bernie Sanders.
Less than a week until the Iowa caucus, Bernie Sanders is rising in the Hawkeye state.
The reason we are going to win here in Iowa is we have the strongest grassroots movement of any campaign.
A recent New York Times poll showing Bernie Sanders on top in Iowa with 25% of voters. Pete Buttigieg trailing with 18%. Joe Biden with 17%.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. He's real, right? They hate that. Democrats don't like that either, right? Because the establishment, there are several parties within the parties, and there's an engine that runs. And Bernie, much like Trump, is upset the apple cart. He's not going anywhere. He doesn't play nice. And it's very interesting. It is. He upsets that apple cart, right? He twists, he turns, he does things, he says things, he's cantankerous. And guess what? He is making it very uncomfortable. No doubt in my mind, the establishment, and I think in many places inside of the media, they'd love to see Elizabeth Warren. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a two-horse race, and it's Biden and Bernie. I think Bernie has a real shot at winning Iowa, right? There's a lot of undecided voters in Iowa. It's going to tell us a lot. New Hampshire, Bernie's going to win in a walk. But then you've got Nevada and South Carolina, which I think those two will probably go to Biden. And then we start moving to the biggies and then Super Tuesday. Biden and Bernie are going to battle it out. Big time. But another person that goes against the grain, who has his followers, and they are devoted to him to the point where you don't say anything bad about Bernie. And even if you endorse Bernie and they don't like you, you could pay a price for it. See Joe Rogan, right? Even if you're progressive and you like somebody else, they'll come for you. And Bernie, I think he doesn't care. I think a lot of that also has to do with what you go back 4 years and you say, look what the establishment tried to do to me. And by the way, he's had no love lost at all for the establishment. No love since the day he got into politics for the establishment side of things. He scares them as much as Trump scares them. Upsetting the apple cart. But I'll say it again and again. When it comes to Donald Trump, right? When it comes to Donald Trump, remember, when you do things like this.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading, your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
Only them elitists know where Ukraine is. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, my God.
But you know what? But it was Rick's fault. I blame Rick.
Sorry, hold on. Wait.
Can I tell you
give me a second. Hold on. That was good. Sorry. Rick, that was a good one. I needed that.
When you do things like that and you insult parts of the country who already feel like you've abandoned them, who already think you look down upon them. Don't think that you're going to get any favors for them, not only during this impeachment, but also during the election. Something to think about. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Wounded Paw. You know, yesterday we talked about Kobe Bryant. We're going to talk about him a little bit later, and people are like, well, why don't you talk about the real heroes? I said I do talk about the real heroes, right? Again, heroes come in all shapes and sizes and all walks of life, right? And there are unsung heroes out there, and that's a lot of what the military, first responders, and the veterans are all about. That's why I work with an amazing organization like Wounded Paw. You know, that's what I told them. I said, yeah, I do talk about him. I talk about him a lot of ways, and that's why I support Wounded Paw. Do you support Wounded Paw? And they said, well, you know, I said, well, you should, right? Right? You'd be surprised what Wounded Paw does. The work they do is amazing. Rescuing animals, dogs, taking them from shelter dogs to service dogs, and then connecting them with our furry best friends, you know, right there to our nation's heroes. Their motto is to save a paw to save a life, and they do that. They recognize that 20 veterans on average a day commit suicide. They'd love to get that number to zero. And it's a little thing like the love of an animal that helps them with their day-to-day life that can go so far. You can give, you can join, and it's simple, right? It is so simple. You can take action today and turn your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat to a vehicle for change. You're going to be saving a paw to save a life. It is that simple. Go to woundedpawproject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. Check them out for yourself. See the work they're doing. It is amazing. woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Take it anymore! Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
Overcrowded hospitals in Wuhan, emergency workers wearing masks and protective gear as they treat patients. We spoke with an American citizen, Johnny Dangerfield from Arizona, who says he and his children were offered a trip home, but declined because his wife is not a U.S. citizen.
No one wants to be uncertain of when they're going to be able to go home.
For now, he and his family are staying in Wuhan, the epicenter of the crisis.
Yeah, and you got more chance of getting really sick from the flu, right? That's just it. The flu is far more deadly than this thing, even right now. And one of the things they're talking about with the flu is normally, you know, you've got the regular flu, the A and the B, right? That's, you know, the A type and the B type. And normally the way they do it is the front part of the flu season, it's very front loaded. The A is kind of what they look at is going to be the flu that will dominate. And then in the back end, you'll get a little bit of the other strain of the flu, the B as they call it. What's happened this year is it's flip-flopped. And so when they look out 9 months or so and they decide what shot to give, usually it's the A, and certain strands of that A they're going to give that shot for. And most people will get that. It's not been as effective as people would like it to be this year because it didn't go the way it's planned. Again, just because you're getting a flu shot, and while it will help you fight some things, it's not going to be 100% effective if you get the wrong one. Again, it'll help you. And then for all the talk of this, right, because there's talk that the world's coming to an end. It's, oh, my God. I mean, it's just the outrage of people running around with their head. It's bad. Let's, you know, if you're in Wuhan, but if you're in Tempe, Arizona, one person, right, who they didn't even quarantine. Like, it's, there's other things out there. There's an H7N9, you know, so you've got the H1N1. So there's an H1N9, an H7N9 that is a form of avian flu that this year has affected 1,500 people. And 650 of them have died. The good news is it doesn't look like it spreads human to human. So before we go, So what should you look for just in case you think you've come in contact with somebody who's either been to Wuhan or come in contact with somebody from Wuhan?
People can have very light symptoms, just a bit of a cough and headache, let's say. It can be having fever as well, of course, or it could be heavy with respiratory problems up to a full lung infection.
Okay, so there you got to worry about that. How long does it take?
The incubation period can be anything between 1 and 14 days. That's what the experience so far shows.
So 1 and 14 days, and essentially it looks kind of like the cold or flu. Could be mild to really bad. There you go. But people freaking out. Oh, my God, it's the end of the world. I don't know what's going to happen. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Yesterday, they did talk about impeachments. It was, I'll be honest, it's dull. Right? I mean, but I don't, it's.
For Congress to ignore the specific words of the Constitution itself and substitute its own judgments would be for Congress to do what it is accusing the president of doing.
Alan Dershowitz, he probably had the best of it, over the last, I would say over the last 72 hours being on TV and then, through the day's proceedings. But it's not moving the needle. And you look at it, I mean, it's every day. It's people less and less are watching it. Bolton testifying would be interesting, right? Bolton testifying would be something that I think people pay attention to. Doesn't matter what he says. I don't think the outcome changes at all. I think Trump stays president. I think he knows that. But that also means that you're going to have a chance to probably bring Biden, both Joe and Hunter, potentially in. Is that something the Democrats want to risk? As we head into not just Iowa, but it is on. In the next week, we have 2 primaries. Think about that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Kobe Bryant. I think it's okay to talk about everything that has to do with Kobe. The good and, yes, the bad. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Bryant spoke about flying on helicopters as his preferred mode of transportation in a December 2018 interview with Barstool Sports, saying it allowed him to spend more time with his daughters.
Traffic started getting really, really bad, right? And I was sitting in traffic, and I wound up missing like a school play because I was sitting in traffic. And this thing just kept mounting. I had to figure out a way where I could still train and focus on the craft, but still not compromise family time.
Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna died alongside basketball coach and mother of 3, Christina Mauser.
Yeah. Horrible incident. It's interesting the way that people react, right? Says a lot about things. You get blowback. In this day and age, you've got to expect blowback. You've got to, right? Like if you ask certain questions, you're going to expect blowback. Yesterday, I got so much blowback because I talked about what a hero he was to people. How dare I do that? What about the soldiers out there? I had somebody threaten me, right? Which I thought was hilarious, right? Never going to listen to me. Yes, you are. So shut up. You're not. I mean, why? Because he was a hero to some, right? Because he was a hero. He was absolutely a hero to some. Let's not pretend, right? But it's amazing. Well, you're a horrible person because you talked about the other people. No, I talked about Miss Mauser. I talked about the baseball coach, who, by the way, his team, the Orange Coast College, they begin their defense of the state title today. So a JUCO coach who leaves behind another daughter in middle school and has a 30-year-old son who's one of the head scouts for the Boston Red Sox. So imagine that. Losing your mom, your dad, and your sister. We talked a lot yesterday. But the reality is Kobe Bryant is a legend and an icon. But everybody has something to bitch about. Everybody has something to complain about. Everybody. Because we've given people the tools to be a-holes. I can almost assure you that if you're like that on a tweet, probably in real life, you're kind of like that. Now, there are some people out there who because of the tweets and stuff, the context, you don't get the humor, right? That happens. Or when somebody shoots you an email or a text message, you know. But for a lot of people, no. I guarantee you that the way they are. It's hilarious. Kobe Bryant died. For many, he was a hero. But you got to talk about everything, right? Get over the shock. And everybody's, when can you talk? There is more. He was a complex individual. He was. And no, we shouldn't shy away from what took place in Colorado in 2003. Now, he was never convicted of anything. So that is what it is. But for people out there who are survivors of sexual assault, and they look and they see this, and the way that people heap praise on Kobe, they're upset. And for people who go out and say, we should talk about this, people who love Kobe, they're upset. Case in point, a reporter, Washington Post, Felicia Sonmez, posted an article written a few years ago that she did not write. She tweeted it. She's had over 10,000 death threats. She's been suspended from her job. It's ridiculous. We're fractured in this country. But it's okay to talk about all of it. I got blowback a few weeks ago. We were talking about the greatest in the NFL. They break down the 100 greatest players of all time. And they said, okay, we were talking about running backs. And I said, before it came out, when they were, first they said Walter Payton. Okay, so we all agree. And I said, O.J. Simpson has to be on that list. People freaked out and attacked me for it. How dare I? Doesn't take away from who he was as a player, right? On that alone, what he did and who he was as a player deserves that, because that's how good he was. What happened after the fact doesn't play into the reality of, if you're looking at the 100 best, he's one of them. But I got blowback for it. How dare I? How dare I? Same thing went with Michael Jackson, right? Because people put these people on a pedestal, these legends, that they can do no wrong. No, what makes them human beings is the fact that they are flawed individuals. They have their kryptonite. They have their weakness, whether it's Tiger, right? Michael Jordan was his obsession to win, much like Kobe Bryant, their single-mindedness. But they also like to gamble. Michael, like to chase some of the ladies, like to do some things. They're flawed human beings. There's nothing wrong with that, right? That we talk about it. I mean, it's nothing wrong with us talking about it. I don't know what took place in that Colorado. The only people who ever know, one of them's not here anymore. But I understand why people are pissed. Same thing with Michael Jackson, right? I don't like Michael Jackson. Wasn't a big fan anyways. I like the Jacksons, Jackson 5. But people got death threats. How dare you question the greatness of Michael Jackson? No, just because he sings and he dances and he entertains you doesn't mean he's without sin. We all are. But it is funny the way that we react. Seeing people get death threats over something that absolutely took place. And again, Kobe came out and he said, we have two different versions of what took place that night. I believed it was consensual. She did not, and he apologized, and he ended up paying about $2.5 million in a settlement. That was after his attorneys destroyed her. Now, there were questions, and good attorneys are going to do that. Even half-assed ones are probably going to do certain things and ask certain questions when you're talking about somebody's lives. But it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to talk about all of the individual. Doesn't take away from who Kobe was on the court, from how he lived his life since then. But we want to wrap people up and put them on a pedestal and act as if that was it and that all other sins are forgiven or never even happened. I don't think you can do that. What made Kobe great also played into his flaws. That's real. And it's okay to talk about it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. By the way, if you get one of these calls, just say no.
There's a phone scam that spoofs or fraudulently displays the telephone number of the nearest FBI office on the victim's caller ID, according to the FBI field office in Omaha, Nebraska. The scammer impersonates a government official and uses intimidation tactics like threatening to arrest you to demand payment of money. The FBI says the Bureau does not call or email people to demand money or threaten arrest. And if you get one of these calls, phone the FBI.
So wait a minute. So the FBI is calling me? And then you want me to call the FBI? I'm always amazed, again, that these things work, but they wouldn't do them if they didn't work. Right? And here's another thing, right? I'm going to throw this out there, guys. All right? Maybe you tell your grandma and your mom and your dad and your grandpa, maybe even yourself. If somebody calls you and says, I'm from the such and such, and if you don't pay us X amount of dollars, we can cancel your license and then they go into whatever spiel. And if they tell you the only way they can accept money is through gift cards, probably not real. It's probably like, if you're like, oh, you want me to go get you what, $100 in Applebee's gift cards? That's how I appease the FBI? Because if that's true, Trump would have got Applebee's for everybody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Will he, won't he? The whole Bolton thing that people are talking about is very interesting. Right? Again, the only thing out of all of this stuff that I see that can get people semi-engaged in this who aren't engaged in the viewing of this. And you're seeing it now. I mean, all of the big stations, right, the broadcast TV stations that we would know, companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they've all moved on, right? They're letting CNN, C-SPAN, Fox, MSNBC handle all this stuff throughout the day. They break in every once in a while. And in some markets, they carry the entire thing. And in a lot of other markets, they say it's a ratings killer, right? They're getting bigger ratings on, The Price is Right and those things than they are this. Impeachment. Bolton would be different, right? He would be different. But you got to think about something, too, with Bolton. He got a $2 million advance from his publisher. He's got to sell books. That's a great way to sell a book right there. Right? So if I'm the publisher, I'm saying, look, this stuff's getting out, the excerpts and all that, but they're going to call you in and you're going to have to testify and you may be giving the entire damn book away. We can't have you doing that. We gave you $2 million. It's great publicity, but don't testify until we release the book. Oh, my. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing organization for people over the age of 50, out there fighting on your behalf for common sense immigration reform. How about that? They know that, look, if you support AMAC, one of the big things they do, they want to go and show politicians, look, the things that you do can impact things like Social Security and Medicare and hurt the lives economically for a lot of people for a long time to come. They're out there fighting on your behalf. On top of that, They got great benefits. Retail, restaurant, hotel, discounts to movie theaters. They'll answer questions, Medicare, Social Security, whatever it is. You want to call them up and you have a question, they'll help you and direct you to places you need to go. And again, the benefits are huge, like half off movie tickets and amusement parks and you name it, they've got it. Now's your chance to join and it's absolutely free. 1 year, it's on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. We'll call 888-355-1617. No cost, no tricks, no credit card, none of that stuff. Just sign up. It's free. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. 1 year. It's free. It's on me. Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, fui, and double fui.
Boy, it's your language. This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
Tonight is for Kobe.
The Grammys Sunday night paid tribute to Kobe Bryant.
Billie Eilish.
And Billie Eilish made history as the youngest ever winner for Album of the Year, but that wasn't enough to spike the ratings, down 6% from last year's show. 18.7 million people checked out music's biggest night on CBS, which is still the biggest audience for a non-sports TV show this year, beating the Golden Globes by almost 500,000 viewers. And it's not the lowest ever in total viewers. That happened in 2006. But in the all-important demo of 18 to 49-year-olds, it was the lowest rated Grammys in history, down 3% from last year.
And part of that is because everybody at that age group is on social media, and we used to turn in to watch the stars because this was something that was different. It was out of their element, right? That we would know them in, whether it was movies or TV or music videos or on stage, whatever it was. We know everything about them now. So tuning in to watch them in this it's that nobody cares, right? I mean, nobody. Look, the audience is still big comparatively to we've talked about impeachment. 11.1 million on the first day, and since then it's dropping about 15 to 20% on a daily basis. Nobody's paying attention. It's getting beat out by Days of Our Lives and other soap operas. It is what it is, right? No matter what anybody says about how important this is, people aren't paying attention to it. They're just not. And partly because it's a little different, right? You know, you're talking about the Ukraine, and they're talking about, it's like, okay, who's this Zelensky character? Then you got all these other kind of shady characters. I always said it's like John Wick without the killing. Right? You watching the John Wick movies? You know, it's kind of like you got all these shady characters and there's all this stuff, lots of moving parts, and then you get into the vagueness of high crimes and misdemeanor, and there's no treason in this. You go back and look at Clint. Clint was easy, right? Clint was easy, and there was sex, right? Like sex sells. It's what it is. Sex sells. Always has been, always will be. But in saying that, it's just not a lot there, right? Not now. Bolton coming would be interesting. Here's something that would be interesting if it was to happen.
Federal prosecutors and the FBI have reached out to Prince Andrew as part of their ongoing investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman said Prince Andrew has offered zero cooperation, despite expressing a willingness to help.
He publicly offered, indeed in a press release, offered to cooperate with law enforcement investigating the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators.
Those alleged co-conspirators include the British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, a friend of Prince Andrew, and a former girlfriend of Epstein, who has been accused of recruiting women and girls.
Yeah. Epstein left behind his sordid, nasty past. On top of that, it's brought in people like Prince Andrew. Like we talk about, you go and look at some of these things. Look, there's no doubt that Clinton and a lot of other people knew who this guy was, Epstein. Even had friendly relationships with them, distanced themselves in the latter years after his plea deal and the whole 9 yards. But Prince Andrew wasn't one of those people. And they would love to talk to him. That ain't happening. He ain't getting anywhere near any kind of conversation about this whatsoever. No way Mom's letting him do that, right? She's already got enough trouble with one grandson bouncing. You can't have one son having an issue of this magnitude. No matter how much they want to sit down and speak with him, no matter how much they want to do this, it just isn't going to happen. It isn't. No way. No chance. No way will this ever happen. Andrew, stay inside the castle. No more. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at it. Super Bowl week. Last night they paid tribute to Kobe to start off. They have the Super Bowl week now is like they've got opening ceremonies in the whole 9 yards, and I'm sure there'll be something this weekend. But now it's time to get down to it. They'll have media day today, and then really in earnest, the players they're already going through the game plans, but they're going to be hitting it hard, and you won't hear a lot from them, starting tomorrow through Super Bowl time itself and the kickoff. Should be interesting. Prices through the roof right now. About $8,900 for the average ticket. That's expensive. Mostly driven by Chiefs fans. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Mr. Parnas's bias and, frankly, Mr. Bolton's bias are pretty obvious and have been discussed a lot. Do I believe them? I don't know. Are they telling the truth? I don't know. But if I'm honest, I wouldn't bet my house on it. And if I were betting your house on it, it would only be a maybe. We're going to make a decision by the end of the week.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants to know. Are they going to do it? They're not going to do it. Are they going to do it? They're not going to do it. Are they going to bring witnesses in? Got to vote on that. You don't need a lot, right? This isn't to remove him from office. So he's been impeached, but to remove him from office, you're going to need 20 senators to jump ship. And you're going to need all of yours, Democrats, to hold serve, right? In saying that, you only need 51, though. So you need 4 to go, okay. We can have witnesses. We can bring in some other material. And people are curious about that.
I think it's important to be able to hear from John Bolton for us to be able to make an impartial judgment.
I think Mitt Romney is really believes, hey, I want to hear. I want to hear what he has to say. I'd like to hear what he has to say. Right? Do I think that John Bolton's lying? No, I don't think he is. Do I think he's telling the truth? Yeah. Do I think, though, that truth might be Trumperized, which means, hey, I'm selling a book, man. Right? I'm selling a book. You guys understand reality TV is not real, right? You guys get that. Does everybody get that? Does everybody get that reality? Like, there's no way. Like, they put people in weird, awkward positions, and then they do things and overhype it. That's not what normally they don't get all dressed up in ball gowns and tuxedos, right, to go to Applebee's on a Tuesday night. That's just not a normal thing. So he's selling a book. He got a huge advance, a couple $1 million. So could he be putting, as we would say, putting a little mustard on it? It's possible. Do I think that he's telling a decent amount of truth? Hell yeah, I do. Hell, Trump doesn't even deny it. Oh, yeah, I totally did that, right? That's Trump's whole thing is, yeah, I did it, and it's not, you can't remove him from office for that. It's ridiculous. Stupid. That's silly, right? We've been doing quid pro quos for you. Well, here's something else to think about, right? And by the way, I'm going to say this on the record for you guys. I don't think what Hunter Biden did was wrong, right? I don't. you go and look at the timelines and a lot of this stuff, it's you're like, I don't. Man, hey, if my dad could have got me a job for $90,000 a month and he didn't get him the job, his name got him the job, right? Right. Rudy Giuliani's kid's making $100,000 a year working for Trump in like the assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant's communication director for something. Nepotism is huge, right? So you're going to use it, right? Here's my question has always been for the Democrats. If this was Mitch McConnell's kid, I don't even know if Mitch has a kid. I'm just throwing it out there, right? Lindsey Graham's adopted kid. But if this was a prominent Republican that Trump had asked something or queried about, would you guys be outraged? Honestly, probably not. No, this is gamesmanship and this is politics. And this is politics in the age of Trump. Politics in the age of Trump is second by second, right? Minute by minute, day by day. It's gotcha moments. It's screaming and yelling. It's bloviating and shouting from the rooftops. It's all kinds of stuff. And our founding fathers, by the way, did the same thing. They just didn't have social media. I mean, the things they used to call each other, they used to threaten each other to duels. But at the end of the day, they also realized, well, we got stuff to do. We need to get it done, right? This is one of those things where it's politics. And in politics, we like more transparency. Transparency screams of, going to have to bring a witness in. Mitt Romney is suggesting a 1-for-1, right? Kind of like old style. We'll trade our prisoner for your prisoner, right? And that's kind of what it feels like, which is, all right, we're going to give you this person. And they're going to say, we want Bolton, right? And this is if Bolton agrees. By the way, he's getting huge pushback from the Republican Party. Remember this. Still part of the party. Has his own PAC. Wants to be a mover and player. Still in the political world. His life is not done. So, all that being said, I think he also realizes I can't do some things and say some things that could potentially get me ostracized and put over here on Bolton Island, where it's just me and Michael Bolton. Can't do it. So there is that, too. Because in the world of politics, there are other politics still being played. And that's amongst the senators, the congresspeople, and the lobbyists. So there is something there. So they'll say they want Bolton, so Bolton will come on in, right? And he does that weird, like, I don't really want to do it, but if you ask me and you said nice and pretty please, I'll probably show up. And the other side, are they going to bring Hunter Biden in? Are they going to bring Joe Biden in? Are they going to say, you know what, we want to talk to Adam Schiff? It's always a possibility. You don't know. But they're suggesting a 1-for-1 and probably limiting the scope of certain things because they don't want it to drag on forever. Nobody wants to drag on forever. Trust me, politics, they could drag this thing on forever. And ever. And ever. And ever. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. The Wuhan virus still being Wuhanian, doing its Wuhan thing. Wuhan!
Overcrowded hospitals in Wuhan. Emergency workers wearing masks and protective gear as they treat patients. We spoke with an American citizen, Joni Dangerfield from Arizona, who says he and his children were offered a trip home, but declined because his wife is not a U.S. citizen.
No one wants to be uncertain of when they're going to be able to go home.
For now, he and his family are staying in Wuhan, the epicenter of the crisis.
Yeah. So how many people are infected? Again, remember, in all of these things, we're still dealing with a communist nation that still controls the flow of information, that still controls how the outside gets to see things. But the world is putting pressure on for more transparency in this, because is something really deadly getting out there? Got one case here, in Arizona, and a few cases elsewhere. But it's that insanity that people go through, right? And we hear things, and this is just it. People freak out, right? Remember the Ebola virus? 74% of Americans were worried there was going to be the spreading of the Ebola virus. 74%. And more people think that we should be concerned about this, right? Even though the CDC's come out and said, look, the risk of the coronavirus is low in the U.S., and we've explained it. 30% of cold viruses and whatnot, it is the coronavirus. There's just different, obviously strains of the coronavirus. But that's the panic that sets in, because it's contagious. Panic.
Humans, for the most part, don't have a clue. They don't want one or need one either. They're happy. They think they have a good bead on things.
Well, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
The person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it.
Yeah. Person is smart. But the group together can go south fast. And that's what you're seeing, a lot of the panic. Right? Chances of you getting this are slim to none. And even if you get it, you're going to be fine. Right? Not saying some things can't happen, but you go and you look at the flu. Flu's still killing more people. And this year's flu has flip-flop. There's a strain A and a strain B. Normally A comes first, then B. This year B came first, then A. And that's still more of a danger. The people that have died this year, a lot of people who have died this year from the flu, weren't the susceptible ones. People with compromised immune systems, older and very, very young. A lot of people that have died have been healthy in between the ages of 20 and 40. That's scary. But the coronavirus, something to talk about, right? Then it gets out there, and then like the virus itself, it goes viral, and people start freaking out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Holidays gone, out of here. What's here now? The realization that you put a ton of money on your credit cards and you're paying 20+%. It's the average rate, right? That's the average interest rate nationwide. It's 20%. So you bought something in November, December. You're going to be paying for it through November, December of 2021 and 22. You see where I'm going with this? Why don't you do this? Get a credit card consolidation loan. Get out of those high interest rates, credit card craziness with my good friends over at Lightstream. Right? Rates as low as 5.95% APR with autopay. Simple and easy to do. Do it right from your smartphone. It's amazing. Customers rave about how easy it is to do, how you can even get the money as early as the same day. That is incredible. No fees whatsoever. You got nothing to worry about, and they're going to take care of you. And just for being my listener, you're going to get a special interest rate discount. Go to lightstream.com/Benson. It's lightstream.com/Benson. They'll take care of you over there. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here. Just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. This is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world. And so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their audience, the credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's a smart one and y'all elitists are dumb.
Let me tell you guys something. That right there was last night. Don Lemon, Rick Wilson there, former GOP strategist, and a couple other people on the show, and they were making fun of Trump supporters, right? I posted that earlier, and people are fighting, right? Because everybody's making they're coming back talking about, like the people on the left are saying, they're right, Trump supporters are stupid, and other people are saying, I'm a Trump supporter, I'm not stupid. Yeah, you are, you're a Trump supporter. That's where we are. So when Trump is divisive. I'm not going to lie to you. Hell yeah, he's divisive. He's absolutely divisive. But that's politics today. Politics today is being divisive. That's what you do. It's always been that way. The difference is we do it now on a grander scale, right? It's always an us versus them, because we used to say my ideas are better than his ideas. And let me explain the way. And their ideas are this, and I'll tell you why they're bad. Nowadays, it's they're evil and bad. They're coming for your gods and your guns and your money, right? And the other side says they're going to lock you up. They're racist. They're homophobic. They're going to rob from you even though you don't have anything. And the only way to save them is to hire me. We've always been divisive, but the divide used to be simple. My ideas are better than your ideas, right? It was like it was red versus blue. Now it's something wholly different. And that's not good. That's not. And when you say Donald Trump's divisive, I'll say absolutely. He is. He plays the game, right? And that's what pisses a lot of people off on the left, is he plays the games better than they do. But don't think for a minute that there isn't a bunch of people also on the left that divide as well. I mean, look at identity politics. How insane that is. Just look across the board at the insanity of identity politics. Talk about dividing. Talk about the way we go about doing things, right? I mean, we're arguing today about Friends, right? Like, because David Schwimmer has coming out and said, you know, he's defending Friends, but then people are saying, well, in this woke culture, in this woke world, look at Friends and how it wasn't very woke, right? I mean, we go back and have retro rage. We move the goalpost every day. We identify politics in everything we do now, whether it's at school or work or media. It's everywhere. Everybody wants to have their voice. Everybody wants to have their say. And along the way, they also want to be a special group. And so the left decides, hey, everybody gets to be a special group. Everybody divides now. You know, when you hear the presidents go, oh, well, we should be healers and we should be uniting the country, it's not going to happen. You can unite 70% of the country, but there's always going to be 15% on either side that don't want any part of that. They can't stand the other side. The rest of us are just getting on with our day, right? We got stuff to do, right? Our kids playing the same soccer team together, right? We like to sit, we're hanging out at each other with church, and we're going to we're watching Superbowl together, you know? We work together. But those other extreme 15% that live in that bubble, the problem is they've stolen all the microphones and sucked out all of the oxygen in the room. And that's how we have to take it back. Yes, he's divisive, but so is this.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading, you know, your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
Only them elitists know where Ukraine is.
That's just as divisive, right? Whether you say he's dividing because of the color of the skin, but you're dividing because you think they're all stupid and inbred. Hate, man, and disdain is still what it is. Again, people use it to their advantage. They do. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Kobe Bryant passes away at 41. Interesting. When can you have the discussion about his complex life that included an incident that some people are saying we shouldn't ignore? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Bryant spoke about flying on helicopters as his preferred mode of transportation in a December 2018 interview with Barstool Sports, saying it allowed him to spend more time with his daughters.
Traffic started getting really, really bad. Right. And I was sitting in traffic and I wound up missing like a school play because I was sitting in traffic and this thing just kept mounting. And I had to figure out a way where I could still train and focus on the craft, but still not compromise family time.
Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna died alongside basketball coach and mother of three, Christina Mauser.
Yeah. Horrible incident. You know, it's interesting the way that people react, right? Says a lot about things. You get blowback. In this day and age, you've got to expect blowback. You've got to, right? Like if you ask certain questions, you're going to expect blowback. Yesterday, I got so much blowback because I talked about what a hero he was to people. How dare I do that? What about the soldiers out there? I had somebody threaten me, right? Which I thought was hilarious, right? Never going to listen to me. Yes, you are. So shut up. You're not. I mean, what do you... Why? Because he was a hero to some, right? Because he was a hero. He was absolutely a hero to some. Let's not pretend, right? But it's amazing. Well, you're a horrible person because you talk about the other people. No, I talked about Miss Mauser. I talked about the baseball coach, who, by the way, his team, the Orange Coast College, they begin their defense of the state title today. So a JUCO coach who leaves behind another daughter in middle school and has a 30-year-old son who's one of the head scouts for the Boston Red Sox. So imagine that, losing your mom, your dad, and your sister. We talked a lot yesterday. But the reality is Kobe Bryant is a legend and an icon. But everybody has something to bitch about. Everybody has something to complain about. Everybody. Because we've given people the tools to be a-holes. I can almost assure you that if you're like that on a tweet, probably in real life, you're kind of like that. Now, there are some people out there who because of the tweets and stuff, the context, you don't get the humor, right? That happens. Or when somebody shoots you an email or a text message, you know. But for a lot of people, no. I guarantee you that the way they are. It's hilarious. Kobe Bryant died. For many, he was a hero. But you got to talk about everything, right? Get over the shock. And when can you talk? There is more. He was a complex individual. He was. And no, we shouldn't shy away from what took place in Colorado in 2003. Now, he was never convicted of anything. So that is what it is. But for people out there who are survivors of sexual assault, and they look and they see this, and the way that people heap praise on Kobe, they're upset. And for people who go out and say, we should talk about this, people who love Kobe, they're upset. Case in point, a reporter, Washington Post, Felicia Sonmez, posted an article written a few years ago that she did not write. She tweeted it. She's had over 10,000 death threats. She's been suspended from her job. It's ridiculous. We're fractured in this country. But it's okay to talk about all of it. I got blowback a few weeks ago. We were talking about the greatest in the NFL. They break down the 100 greatest players of all time. And they said, okay, we were talking about running backs. And I said, before it came out, when they were, first they said Walter Payton. Okay, so we all agree. And I said, O.J. Simpson has to be on that list. People freaked out and attacked me for it. How dare I? Doesn't take away from who he was as a player, right? On that alone, what he did and who he was as a player deserves that because that's how good he was. What happened after the fact doesn't play into the reality of if you're looking at the 100 best, he's one of them. But I got blowback for it. How dare I? How dare I? Same thing went with Michael Jackson, right? Because people put these people on a pedestal, these legends, that they can do no wrong. No, what makes them human beings is the fact that they are flawed individuals. They have their kryptonite. They have their weakness, whether it's Tiger, right? Michael Jordan was his obsession to win, much like Kobe Bryant, their single-mindedness. But they also like to gamble, Michael, like to chase some of the ladies, like to do some things. They're flawed human beings. There's nothing wrong with that, right? That we talk about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with us talking about it. I don't know what took place in that Colorado. The only people who ever know, one of them's not here anymore. But I understand why people are pissed. Same thing with Michael Jackson, right? I don't like Michael Jackson. Wasn't a big fan anyways. I like the Jacksons, Jackson 5. But people got death threats. How dare you question the greatness of Michael Jackson? No, just because he sings and he dances and he entertained you doesn't mean he's without sin. We all are. But it is funny the way that we react. Seeing people get death threats over something that absolutely took place. And again, Kobe came out and he said, we have two different versions of what took place that night. I believed it was consensual. She did not, and he apologized, and he ended up paying about $2.5 million in a settlement. That was after his attorneys destroyed her. Now, there were questions, and good attorneys are going to do that. Even half-assed ones are probably going to do certain things and ask certain questions when you're talking about somebody's lives. But it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to talk about all of the individual. Doesn't take away from who Kobe was on the court, from how he lived his life since then. But we want to wrap people up and put them on a pedestal and act as if that was it and that all other sins are forgiven or never even happened. I don't think you can do that. What made Kobe great also played into his flaws. That's real. And it's okay to talk about it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. By the way, if you get one of these calls, just say no.
There's a phone scam that spoofs or fraudulently displays the telephone number of the nearest FBI office on the victim's caller ID, according to the FBI field office in Omaha, Nebraska. The scammer impersonates a government official and uses intimidation tactics like threatening to arrest you to demand payment of money. The FBI says the Bureau does not call or email people to demand money or threaten arrest. And if you get one of these calls, phone the FBI.
So wait a minute. So the FBI is calling me? And then you want me to call the FBI? I'm always amazed, again, that these things work, but they wouldn't do them if they didn't work. Right? And here's another thing, right? I'm going to throw this out there, guys. All right? Maybe you tell your grandma and your mom and your dad and your grandpa, maybe even yourself. If somebody calls you and says, I'm from the such and such, and if you don't pay us X amount of dollars, we can cancel your license and then they go into whatever spiel. And if they tell you the only way they can accept money is through gift cards, probably not real. It's probably like, if you're like, oh, you want me to go get you what, $100 in Applebee's gift cards? That's how I appease the FBI? Because if that's true, Trump would have got Applebee's for everybody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Will he, won't he? The whole Bolton thing that people are talking about is very interesting. Right? Again, the only thing out of all of this stuff that I see that can get people semi-engaged in this who aren't engaged in the viewing of this. And you're seeing it now. I mean, all of the big stations, right, the broadcast TV stations that we would know, companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they've all moved on, right? They're letting CNN, C-SPAN, Fox, MSNBC handle all this stuff throughout the day. They break in every once in a while, and in some markets, they carry the entire thing. And in a lot of other markets, they say it's a ratings killer, right? They're getting bigger ratings on, The Price is Right and those things than they are this. Impeachment. Bolton would be different, right? He would be different. But you got to think about something, too, with Bolton. He got a $2 million advance from his publisher. He's got to sell books. That's a great way to sell a book right there, right? So if I'm the publisher, I'm saying, look, this stuff's getting out, the excerpts and all that, but they're going to call you in, and you're going to have to testify, and you may be giving the entire damn book away. We can't have you doing that. We gave you $2 million. It's great publicity, but don't testify until we release the book. Oh, my. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing organization for people over the age of 50. Out there fighting on your behalf for common sense immigration reform. How about that? They know that, look, if you support AMAC, one of the big things they do, they want to go and show politicians, look, the things that you do can impact things like Social Security and Medicare and hurt the lives economically for a lot of people for a long time to come. They're out there fighting on your behalf. On top of that, they got great benefits. Retail, restaurant, hotel, discounts to movie theaters. They'll answer questions, Medicare, Social Security, whatever it is. You want to call them up and you have a question, they'll help you and direct you to places you need to go. And again, the benefits are huge, like half off movie tickets and amusement parks and you name it, they've got it. Now's your chance to join in. It's absolutely free. 1 year, it's on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. We'll call 888-355-1617. No cost, no tricks, no credit card, none of that stuff. Just sign up. It's free. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. 1 year. It's free. It's on me. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
One story kind of overlooked in the wake of the Grammys and Kobe Bryant and Billie Eilish.
Tyler, the Creator!
He won Best Rap Album for Igor, which fused R&B and funk and rap. But backstage, Tyler said he wasn't happy with being put in a box.
It sucks that whenever we, and I mean guys that look like me, do anything that's genre bending or that's anything, they always put it in a rap or urban category. And I don't like that urban word. It's just a politically correct way to say the N-word to me.
He said he felt the album should have been in the pop category, and the win was like a backhanded compliment.
I don't know about urban being the N-word, but I agree, right? Because I don't think there is, and here's the problem, right? We want to hand out a lot more awards when really there are some things that okay, that's urban. There's a lot of other things. It's we tend to want to give people, we like that, but maybe we like these other 8, and would you rather be nominated for something or nothing? And I think there's a lot of that. I've said I love myself some Post Malone. You watch and listen to some of Post Malone, you check out his videos, it's got that at times that rap feel, and at other times it's got a super alt feel. And I'm like, that's a pop song, that's an alt song, that's an urban song, right? Hip-hop, whatever you want to call it. But we've now become, like, we've mashed everything together. So do we want to have just a category with, 15 people instead of, 5 or 6? And get rid of the awards in what we have? No, because I always think they're looking to expand the awards, not lessen them. But I get what he's saying there. Absolutely, I get what he's saying. I didn't get what this guy was saying. I don't know if many people did.
3 days after being hired as the offensive coordinator by Grand Valley State University, Morris Berger conducted an interview with the school student newspaper. The reporter asked Berger, a history major, which 3 historical figures he'd most like to have dinner with. Berger admitted it probably wouldn't get a good review, but Adolf Hitler. Berger saying that while Hitler had bad motives, the way he was able to lead was second to none. He also selected John F. Kennedy and Christopher Columbus. The school has suspended Berger pending an investigation.
I'm going to go out and I'm just going to go on the limb here, right? And say that he probably will not be back. So his reign as the offensive coordinator landed there 2 days earlier and is now ended. I do not believe that he will be coming back. I'm going out there and saying that, kids. I know it's weird, but I feel like he's not going to be back. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just me. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? I think here's the weird thing. I don't know the guy. I mean, do I think he's an anti-Semite and he's a racist? I have no idea. I don't know the guy. You don't know the guy. Nobody's heard of this guy until this thing came out and became national news, right? So nobody knows. We live in a world where we want honesty and transparency, but only to a certain point, right? Only to a certain point. We don't really want it. He was honestly saying, maybe he honestly believes, look, Hitler was the greatest leader of people. Look what he was able to do. No, he brainwashed people and scared people into doing stuff. Now, if you said, I'd love to invite Hitler to dinner because I want to poison him and I want to watch him die in front of me, people are like, oh, well, that's okay, right? I don't know what this guy's about, but Hitler is usually the wrong answer on everything, except for who was the worst person to ever live. Hitler. Okay, there's the answer, right? That's the answer you're allowed to give there. Who led the Nazi Party? Hitler. You can give that answer. Who would you like to have come to dinner? Now, if you were saying, oh, I'd like the Hitler there, not because he's a great leader, because I'd also like Jesus there, and I want to see how that plays out at dinner. But I'd like Hitler to come to dinner so I could pick his brain about what made him such a great leader. Horrible answer, right? Any other answer would have been better. Any other answer, right? Any other answer. So crazy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Text, tweet, no problems with it. Again, when you start conversations with you're a POS or I hate you or I hope you die, that's an argument you're having with yourself and it's boring and I'm not going to reply. I try to get back to everybody as best I possibly can. Check out thechatshow.com. Grab your podcast there. Go have yourself a little taco. Enjoy yourself the rest of the day. We'll get you over the hump tomorrow. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is stunning. It goes right to the heart of the charges against the president. Ambassador Bolton essentially confirms the president committed the offenses charged in the first article of impeachment.
Chuck Schumer right there. Yesterday, though, everybody's clombing on to what Mitt Romney said about witnesses, including...
I think it's important to be able to hear from John Bolton for us to be able to make an impartial judgment.
Now, remember, John Bolton's selling a book. Got a $2 million advance, somewhere right around there. And he's got a book coming out. So you leak excerpts of the book to things like the New York Times. Why? You want to be on their bestsellers list. So you leak excerpts to that. And they print them and run with them as if they've got some sort of scoop. And what ends up happening? Well, it's out there. You know, a little bit more came out today that Trump tried to push personal things to many other dictators and stuff to try to get influence over certain things for his personal gain. You're selling a book. Again, you're selling a book. Doesn't mean he's a liar. Bolton could be 100% right. Would I be shocked? No. So Mitt Romney has proposed a 1-for-1. You get one, we get one. You get one, we get one. You get your guy, Bolton, and we're going to bring somebody else in. Biden, Hunter Biden, whatever. You get one, we get one. That way it's not drawn on forever, right? Because this process could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So we don't want that, right? They're like, and I don't think the Democrats want it either because they're in the middle of primary season, which is 6 days from today. You know, so Monday they've got the Iowa caucus, and then a week after that, they've got New Hampshire. They don't want to be in a situation where, here we are 3-4 weeks from now, and they're still listening to new evidence, and they're still listening to them argue, and they're still hoping to bring more witnesses and trying to uncover certain things to find out at the end of the day that it leads to nothing and takes their big two, but there's four. You've got Bennett, you got Klobuchar, you've got Warren, you got Sanders. The Sanders and Warren are the real big ones in this and takes them off the campaign trail, especially when it gets out of these first two, because Iowa's one of those things where they've been there for months, right? It's you knew it's coming. They've been there for months, right? So you hyper focus on this. And then New Hampshire, right? So you spend 50% of your time in Iowa, 30% of your time when you're campaigning in maybe even 40%, 60, 30, and then the other 10% you're in Nevada, right? You're in South Carolina. Those are the other two that are coming up by the end of this month. But you've spent so much time here that even if you're not there at this moment in time, it's okay. They don't want to be a month from now going, Biden's the only one sitting in, and Buttigieg and Andrew Yang in South Carolina, in Nevada. They don't want that. So he's like 1-for-1, man. I'll give you one, you get one. I'll give you one, you get one. You get one, I get one. Seems fair, right? Go from there. Do I think it's going to change anything? I don't. Do I think it has a chance to potentially hurt Biden? Yeah, maybe. Right? Do I think it could hurt Trump? Maybe. Do I think anything comes out of it, though? No, I don't. That I do not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Would be interesting, though. I will tell you this. I would be interested in hearing what Bolton has to say. Right? Like, to me, it's a very interesting thing. I do think Bolton has some stuff. I do think Bolton can shed some light on certain things. But I also think he's got a book to sell. And you're going to give, like a lot of people with their memoirs, with a lot of stuff, you're going to find out along the way that not everything in there was as real as it's made out to be, or even if it was real, it was blown up, if you will, bigger than maybe it really was. Somebody asked me today, do you think that Trump really did this? I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. There's no doubt in my mind that Trump played some sort of game. Do I think it rises to the level that he should be removed? That's another question. I'd like to hear some more things, but again, you're running into this very vague. To remove a president is to tell a certain portion of the American people, you got it wrong, and we're going to have to cancel out what you did. That is a huge thing to do. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I don't think we talk about that portion of that because we're so busy fighting in the political arena and watching them fight that the individual, you're essentially trying to walk back and undo an election, which means canceling out a group of people and who they voted for. And that is a tough thing to do. And that could have repercussions for years on the party that potentially could oust the president. So we don't talk enough about that because we're always, again, so hyper-focused on all of the reality show version of everything and the leaders themselves and the managers and the defendant and it gets overlooked, and it shouldn't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet against us. With all that being said, kids, there is this thing called an election that will take place in November, and I think it will go. Trump will be the last man standing, at least at this moment in time. But some polls say not so fast.
Nationally, our new ABC News Washington Post poll shows Biden is still leading the pack, favored by 34% of likely primary voters. The poll also puts President Trump against potential opponents, finding Biden leading Trump 50 to 46%. Sanders also leading the president 49 to 47%. Klobuchar and Warren polling roughly even with the president.
Biden, I buy into a little bit. The others... Sanders will be interesting, and I don't buy into Warren or Klobuchar. I just don't. Right? I just don't buy into that. But you got to think about this for a second. Trump, the economy right now has the best ratings it's had in almost 2 decades. Favorability as far as what's going on in the economy. That should be a walkover scenario when it comes to an election. We shouldn't be having this. It shows you how divided this country is. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, the Don Lemon video or show last night showed everything you need to know of the division in this country. When you are supposed to be this journalist, right? And you've got people on and you're making fun of Trump supporters. You and a former GOP, strategist who was part of the establishment, who is a never Trumper, and another guy, and you guys are sitting there basically saying that they're all a bunch of knuckle draggers and idiots.
Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. This is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world. And so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their audience, the credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's a smart one and y'all elitists are dumb.
Yeah. Keep doing it. There's division right there, right? That's massive division. And they sit back and they say, you know what? We're not fools. We're not idiots. We know he's not perfect. We know he's flawed, and we know he's done some stuff that, quite frankly, we're uncomfortable with. In saying that, what you just did there is why we like him, though. Because you're saying that, he's going to come out today and talk about how you guys are fake news, how you guys are elitist, how you guys are awful. Because he's our voice. And yeah, he may be wrong. But in our mind, we're going to take a pass on you guys. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Last night, so I stayed in a hotel last night. I did a lot of traveling this weekend. Went and saw Jack. We did a lot of stuff. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay in a hotel tonight. You drive, it's about 800 miles I did in a day. I drive out there, I spend the day with them. We stay the night. We get up in the morning, and then I got to get back here, and I've got my show in the morning early, and then I've got, afternoon show, and I'm doing all the things I'm doing. And I'm just like, and I live 60 miles outside of town. I'm just like, I don't want to do it. So I stayed at a hotel, and man, the towel was awful. It was awful. Yeah. I can't wait. I'll be home tonight, take a real shower where I can get out and feel like, I got a towel. MyPillow's towels are amazing. Got brand new towels. They're incredible. They are. Super absorbent, extra soft, beautiful. 5 different designer colors. Big towels, too. Extra soft, 30 by 56 bath, 16 by 30 hand towels, washcloths. Made right here in America. You're going to feel the difference. You get a 60-day money-back guarantee. And here's the other thing. There's no fillers, right, or cheap softeners. And it's at a great price. Limited price right now. It's an introductory offer. Your chance to save big. How do you do it? Simple. Go to mypillow.com, new radio listener special. Type in code Benson. You're going to get 30% off these towels, and you get a 60-day money-back guarantee. mypillow.com, new radio listener special. 30% off, 60-day money-back guarantee. Code Benson, BENSON, or call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? What is trending, baby? Quiet day so far. Obviously, Kobe over the last couple days has been the huge thing. Mostly sports stuff on Google. Mitt Romey, right? Trending. So is Tennis Sandgren, who played Roger Federer. People are going, who's this person? Phillip Rivers, trending right now. Apparently, the Chargers have informed him they'll be moving on, which is sparking interest from many people think the likes of Tom Brady. Would Tom Brady leave? Yeah. Would it be worth it? I don't know. Again, I don't know what Tom Brady's going to leave. He's 42, 43 years old. I don't know what he's going to be like, right? I mean, you get anybody a line that can protect somebody, guys who are in their 50s or 60s, if they can stand back there and chuck the ball, they'll be okay, right? But we don't live in that world now. Live in a different world. So you got to protect them like there's like the safe as the vaults of England. I don't know if that's possible. And Federer leads the Google in the world of trending things. Head over here. Interesting stuff on the Twitter. Cruz, because of Ted Cruz, obviously. Some of the things he's been saying. Tongue Out Tuesday. And then we get to the interesting stuff. Joni Ernst talking about Biden and how him being up, she's from Iowa, and how him being up there and having to testify could really, hurt him. It's just, again, it's another one of those weird things that people are talking about. But nepotism, Barbie, and real elites are trending. Why is that? Because of Don Lemon and what he said or was said on his show. How they made fun of essentially Trump supporters, right? Being rubes and stupid and talked about how, you guys know how to read, you elites, and you guys like maps and stuff. And they didn't even do it that funny. And so they went after them, and, out comes Ivanka Trump and says, you wonder why there's division in this country. And, of course, everybody starts calling her nepotism Barbie, right? Which made me kind of laugh. It kind of made me laugh a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. But when you do something like that, you've got to understand. And the funny thing is, you call them out. And what happens? The people who hate Trump come out and say, well, what about this, this, and this? No, not your ad hominem here. You don't get it. This is what they said here, right? I call out people as it goes. not going back to refresh your call out, right? And you use the same argument over and over. This right here, right? Let me tell you something. A disdain for people, regardless of why you have this dislike for them, whether it's the color of their skin, who they love, who they support, what their religion is, their education level is, look, none of us like stupid people. We don't hate stupid people. It just frustrates us, right? We joke about. But when you classify a group of people as just basically stupid.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading, your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
Only them elitists know where Ukraine is.
When you do stuff like that, again, this is why Trump. Keep doing that. They already thought you didn't like him and you overlooked him. They already thought that. But you're just, once again, reinforcing that narrative. Both sides have got issues with disdain and hate and anger for one another. Let's not pretend that the right is infallible. Oh, no, they both do. But this right here, it just shows you a lot. It does. And they just go, that's what we thought you thought of us. And again, this is why Trump. Kobe passed away, but I got a question for you. What if it happened in modern times, a plane going down with teams? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The NTSB is on the ground investigating the circumstances surrounding the helicopter crash that killed NBA legend Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others, saying weather is just one of the many factors that may have contributed to this tragic accident. Investigators say the helicopter did not have a black box and was not required to have one, but an iPad was found among the wreckage, which they believe was used for weather updates, flight planning, and tracking.
Weather is going to be important. The pilot got permission to fly in this kind of weather. They were talking about how bad the weather was, how thick the fog was. And remember, so you're leaving one area, you're flying to another area, so you're about 45, 50 miles away, maybe, as the crow flies, give or take a few miles. So you're leaving Newport Beach or Orange County Airport, it might not be horrific, right? Like I was in Orange County in San Diego this weekend, and during that time of the day, it was low clouds, but it wasn't thick, nasty fog. But doesn't mean that's not what it looks like elsewhere.
How thick was that fog?
Imagine jumping into a pool filled with milk and opening your eyes.
Scott Dalen witnessed the crash. You can hear the helicopter, and you can't see anything.
I can't see anything. Hearing the helicopter, all of a sudden the helicopter's immediately above me. I can hear it, but I can't see it.
Yeah, ugly. Fog was bad. So what they said is, at least from what we get, I spoke to Alex Stone yesterday from ABC News. He said they fell about 4,000 feet a minute. So I don't know how high it was when it started to go down. There was a quick climb, and then something happened, and it just plummeted. And then we know the rest of the story. So no black box. Did fog play a part of it? It's possible. Did something go wrong? You think about these things, right? We joke always about the not if but when. We've done that for years here when we talk about helicopters. It's not if but when. Something's going to go wrong. And that's in good times, right? Like for places like the military even. Small planes and helicopters go down. And when you have a private copter, when you have a private plane, right, whether you're flying a G6 or any of these things, let me tell you something, that commercial airlines, there's a new study out today that says we have never been safer flying than we are now. Ever. It is, the safety is through the roof, which is great. But part of that safety is the maintenance of those. Part of that safety is the fact that those things are looked at on a daily basis. They come in, they get worked on, they go through everything, they look at everything. Kobe may use his copter a couple times a month, a couple times a week, you don't know. How often is it getting looked at? Right? Same thing with when you see people who are well-to-do and they have a jet. How often is that thing getting looked at, and how often is the maintenance? Right? When they pull it in, is there 20 people running to it to make sure it's working great? That everything's hunky-dory, it's ready to roll, that it's perfect? No, that maintenance is huge. You probably just don't think about it. But when you're 5,000, 8,000, 20,000 feet in the air, there's no, something's going wrong, I'll pull over and we'll see. We'll wait for AAA. There isn't any of that. So that's something to think about in all of this, is you look and you say to yourself, how much was the maintenance on that, right? He spent $500,000 on it. He had the money, but you're not doing it every time. I mean, he lands out in wherever he lands and he takes off again. It's not like there's somebody going to go through and do it. Like maybe the pilot does his little walkthrough, but that's not everything. That's why commercial airlines, when you go and you look at commercial airlines, you go look at the things that they do, how they go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, how they're always doing something, and they're always checking things. Are you ready for this? From 2008 to 2017, passenger fatalities on commercial airlines. One death per 7.9 million passenger boardings. That's huge. From 1998 to 2007, so the previous decade that they did that, it was one death per 2.7 million. And from 88 to 97, it was one death per 1.3 million. Essentially, you have nothing to worry about. The safest airlines are based in the United States, European Union, Canada, Japan, China, Israel, New Zealand, and Australia. Among these, so this is all of the world, including some of the African airlines, some of the Eastern European airlines, some of those airlines that, let's just say, don't have the best safety record, right? Like you're literally taking your life in your own hands. But amongst the safest, us, European Union, Canada, China, Japan, Israel, New Zealand, Australia, get ready for this. One death per 33.1 million passenger boardings. That's nuts. That's incredible. So it's something to think about when you talk about, though. That just isn't, the plane. No, it's all of the stuff that goes into it, the maintenance, the mechanical, the engineering, all of those things, and how they're looked over. Who knows? Was there something on the copter that was wrong with it? It's a possibility. NTSB will have a preliminary report. They say maybe by the end of the week, and then in 2 weeks to a month, they'll have another report, but it may take 9 months to a year before their final report is out. So we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. So after this happened with Kobe, it got me thinking, right? It got me thinking of the what-if scenario in life. Kobe is a retired player, but our teams travel on private planes all over. It's not unheard of for there to be a mishap. And I thought to myself, okay, what are the protocols, right? Because every league here has a protocol. Every league here has the horrific what-if scenario. You'd be foolish not to. The most famous probably we've had here in the United States would either be Marshall, which was a college team, or probably the U.S. boxing team in 1980. That was big. Worldwide, the most famous was probably the 1958 Manchester United football team that went down in the Munich disaster. A few years ago, you had the Lokomotiv Yaroslavl ice hockey team, which had several former NHL players on it. And then a couple years ago, Chapecoense, one of the teams in the Premier Division in Brazil, crashed, and their entire team was lost. But here, the what-if scenario. So Major League Baseball has Rule 29. And Rule 29 is triggered by an event causing the death, dismemberment, or permanent disability of at least 5 players from an active team during a season, right? So something horrific happens. Or 6 players in the offseason. I don't know why it's that, but they're trying to, So what happens? So if the commissioner says, hey, this club is disabled. So let's say something does happen. Again, they don't travel in 2s and 3s and 4s. They all travel together. Something horrific was to happen. What happens is they have a restocking draft that allows the club to select as many players as it lost, with a restriction that no more than 1 player can be selected from each team, right? And the team must make 5 players available to be taken. All right, so every team's got to make 5 players available. You can't just go and take all 5 players off this team. You take 1 from each team. All right? So, National Basketball Association, they have a contingency plan. The special disaster draft would be held. NBA teams would have to put up players. You could protect 5 players, right? So chances are you're going to protect your entire starting lineup. And then the NBA teams can then pick, and then the subsequent following year, they would get the first pick. National Football League found this to be interesting. So they have the near disaster or disaster plan, right? Near disaster, fewer than 15 players on a team. Disaster, 15 or more. So no special draft would be held in the near disaster. Team would instead get preferential rights on waivers and all that kind of stuff. If a quarterback is among the fewer than 15 lost, the team would be able to draft up to 2, meaning they can go and you could protect 2 of your quarterbacks. So if you have 3 on the roster, they get to choose whoever they want, right? And they also would get the and now here's the other thing that's interesting. Each team would be able to protect 2, and the drafted quarterbacks, they would go back to their original teams the following year. They get the first pick in next year's draft as well. But it also gives the commissioner the right for a massive disaster to say that we're going to cancel that team for the rest of the year. Very interesting. But you know what? They have to put these things in place because in the event of, and we live in a day where you never know what may happen, you have to be ready to have a backup plan. I found that to be very interesting, especially as we talk about what happened to Kobe, and here we are, Super Bowl week. Yeah, what if? What if something like that happened? How do you go about and do it? You don't disband the team and say, sorry. No, you have to figure out how to rebuild a team and restock it and what you would go about putting a team together because you're talking about cities and communities that embrace these teams. You just don't go, well, we're just going to take your team away. No, you have to figure out how you do it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Inclusive Barbie. What is that? Oh, ho, ho, ho. Chad Benson Show.
let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
They're really good at pressuring the quarterback and stripping the ball from the quarterback and doing all those things. And so for me, it's about kind of weathering the storm, not trying to do anything crazy, just do what I've been doing, get the ball out of my hands. And the good thing about this offense is we have a good offensive line, and then I have a lot of receivers that I can just get it to them in space. They can score touchdowns.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. That's going to be a big thing. That if you're going to beat the Chiefs, they're going to score on you, right? Like everybody says, they're going to score on you. But can you slow them down? You keep it in the 20 because you're going to score on them, right? Their defense isn't great. It's improved, but it's not great. You're going to have a chance to score, and I think San Francisco knows we're going to score some points. We're going to run all over them, and we can pass the ball when needed. We've got some weapons, too. We're going to score on them. And the big thing is, how do you slow down the Chiefs, right, as we head into Super Bowl week? Well, their kryptonite is being able to get after Mahomes, and that's been a tough thing for a lot of people to do. How do you get after him without having to send a bunch of people, which then allows his receivers and his running back out of the backfield to essentially be one-on-one, and they're going to win that battle, right? So what do? Well, you have to be able to get to him. You usually can't get to him with a 4. The team they're playing, San Francisco, they have the 4 that can get to him, including the likes of Bosa. I mean, Ward, they're real. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, I think it's going to be, last year was, I'm a Patriots fan, but it was, we won, but this year, much different. It's going to be a little bit more high octane. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you're going to see the guy that I think is going to dominate for the next 10, 12, 15 years in the NFL, who is just amazing in Patrick Mahomes. He's incredible. Sidearm, no look, but and just the effort that he throws the ball, so effortless. Whoop! Guy is amazing. And you got Andy Reid. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Super excited. By the way, $8,900 average ticket right now. And the cost is being driven up, and that is because you've got a lot of Chief fans who haven't been to a game in the Super Bowl since 1970. So kind of excited about that. 7 years ago, 49ers, and they've got Super Bowls. 1970, the last time the Chiefs even got to a Super Bowl. So think about that.
Barbie, fashionistas.
Barbie has been a doctor, a lawyer, a vet, even president of the United States.
You can be anything.
Now there's a version of her that has no hair. There's another version that has vitiligo, a disorder that causes loss of skin color and blotches. A few years ago, Barbie was criticized for promoting a narrow, unrealistic, and very white ideal of what it is to be beautiful. Since then, the push for diversity has been on. In the last 5 years, there have been chubbier Barbies with wider waists, Barbies of many colors, Barbies with prosthetic limbs, and a Barbie in a wheelchair that even comes with her own ramp.
Yeah. That's interesting. Right. So we got the new diverse Barbie, which that's great. But I was like, we should have real life Barbies and Kens, right? Real life. Guy who lives at the hotel guy, right? You know what I'm talking about? He's got bad credit. Trying to repo his car. He's like 38. His girlfriend's got a kid. It's like 4. She's only like 19. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? They're wearing the shorts. She's wearing the shorts she shouldn't be wearing. Right? Even if she was fit, you're like, whoa, but she ain't. Right? Like, that's real Barbie right there. That's real life. Like hotel Barbie. Bad Choices Barbie. Hey, what are you guys playing with? I'm playing with Bad Choices Barbie. What's going on with Bad Choices Barbie? Bad Choice Barbie just made a bad choice. It's not very nice, Chad. They're trying to be inclusive. I am too. I want Barbie to have a snapshot of real life. We have a homeless encampment, right? We got a millennial Barbie that lives with mom and dad Barbie. Doesn't have a regular job. No way. Yeah, totally. Right? We can have elitist Barbie and redneck Barbie. They can fight it out. That's real. Let's have fun. Come on now. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. I'm pumped about the Super Bowl. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Right? I was bummed the Patriots didn't make it, but it's going to be good. It'll be interesting what the Patriots do. They're moving on from Tom Brady, which I think they should. As much as I love Tom, I think it's time to move on. And I'm telling you guys, he's going to go to L.A. because his wife wants to live in Miami or Los Angeles. And when wifey talks, she has all the money. You got to go. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.